Hello, this is Marshally, and welcome to my garden diary. Today I want to look at that plant. It's called the Astilbes Chinensis. Hope I pronounced that correctly. It has started blooming, but it's in the location here beside the cherry tree where quite a lot is going on. So what I'm going to do before I talk a bit more about this plant is that I'm going to clean up the area here. I'm going to cut back the ox-eye daisy that are here. I'm going to cut these back about half the size of what they are right now because they really lasted a long time, but now they are quite wilted. And when I cut them back, then they will have a chance to grow, put out some new blooms or flowers. So before I can really get to that plant there, I need to just take care of that right there. So I'll do that and then I will talk a little bit more about this plant in the garden. Okay, so I will see you in a bit. Okay, so I cut back the ox-eye daisies that were there. So now we can see our plant, the Astilbes Chinensis, a little bit better. So the story behind this plant. So I've had this plant in the garden for a number of years now. But the problem with me and this plant is that I have transplanted this plant so many times, and it's still doing well. So this is quite a hardy plant. Why have I transplanted it a bit? I wasn't sure how to take care of it. So at one point it was getting dried out very, very fast and it wasn't growing. So I moved it to an area where I could give it more moisture. And I just didn't know what I was doing with this plant. And I think another time I just didn't like where it was, or I wanted to plant another plant where it was, and so I moved it again. So this plant has been moved around a bit and neglected a lot, and it is still doing well. It can do much better, but I will start taking a bit more care of this plant. So it's the blooms on this are quite interesting. They're fuzzy, and this particular one is pink, but I know that they come in different colors. And I think this one is a plant that would add structure to the garden because the foliage is at the bottom there, and foliage is quite also attractive. I like the foliage as well, even though I don't see it that much because of where the plant is, but the foliage is, I think it looks a bit fern-like how it's spread out, and so the flower stalk rises up above the foliage and looks like that. So it's quite nice. I quite like this plant, and I want to continue having it in the garden, and I would like to have more of it in the garden. So I know it's not going to die, because if it hasn't died yet, then it will not die. But I'm going to take care of it a little bit more, and I'm going to start fertilizing it, because I really don't fertilize most of the plants in my garden except the roses. So I'm going to fertilize this some more, and then when it is big and strong enough, I'm going to divide it and put it in more shaded area. I'm going to start doing better with my garden and be more intentional. Some of the plants that are not doing well or I don't really love, I'll get rid of, and those that I really love, I'll nurture more. So I put this here, and it's still not the ideal place for it because this is way too much sun for this plant. It prefers to be in the shades, and it likes to be watered regularly. So it's a plant that can survive a lot, but it's a plant that needs a bit more watering. And in my books, watering means high maintenance because you have to water it quite a bit for it to really thrive. Although if it's in shaded area, then I think um, it won't need that much water. So okay, I'll put it in the low maintenance plant because I've had it so long and I've transplanted it so many times and it hasn't been getting the ideal uh, situation for it, and it still survives. So in that, where that is concerned, then I will put it in low maintenance and a must have plant in my garden. I will keep this plant. I want to have this plant because it is a survivor. Right, so yeah, not much else to say about this plant. Hopefully I'll be able to update you on this plant in the coming years to see how it does, and I'll have more of this. Okay, so let's just quickly look at what else is going on. Right beside that, we have a blazing star, and they must be related in some way because they look so much alike. But they're completely different leaf structures and but the flowers look quite a lot. That's a deeper pink purple. And these are also excellent plants to have in the garden. They plant themselves out and I just leave them because I like them. So we have some blazing stars going on over here. And beside it we have our, I featured this in a last video, but I'm forgetting, black-eyed Susan. Oh, I just forgot the name. So we have some black-eyed Susan here that are also doing well. And yeah, here we have some foxgloves. And again, we have some blazing star. And the foxglove, these are just flowers that are trying to do their thing. This is not their time to be blooming or anything like that. But if we look down at the bottom of this, then we can see where they're working on new growth for next year. So if I wanted to, I could just come in. I'll do that later though, but I could just come in and just cut all of this off. But I'll just leave it for now. And then we have some echinaceas here that are not as tall as the other ones that I have over that side because at this side of the garden is quite dry and it's pretty much full sun, and I don't get back here often enough to water these, especially in spring, so it's not as tall, but it's okay. And then we have another white one here that is also not as tall as it could be because, again, not enough water. So if we can look, this is actually a type that can go short, but I have some at the other side that are like double the height of this. And the ones that are double the size are from this plant because I just divided. I took a division from this and planted it. Let me see if I can zoom in, and I planted it over there, and you can see how tall those are, right? That's a division of this plant right here, and this is the mother plant, and yeah, that's the baby I took from it. So watering does make a huge difference on how tall the plants are. And then what else is going on in this area? That's my Solomon seals. Of course, no blooms. They are one of the first flowers or plants to bloom, but I quite like the foliage, so it's quite okay where it is there. And then we have some more blazing stars, and I really like how those look right there. and I'll just leave them right where they are. One of my favorite plants right now in the garden. I just really like the structure, character they bring. And yeah, so the alliums still adding character to the garden, and I'll leave those. And so yeah, that's what's happening that this side of the garden right now. This is actually the back part of the garden. And so yeah, okay, so that's going to be it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.